Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for today's BarnOwl Spotlight session. My name is Jade, and I will be taking you through the BarnOwl web-based license today. As usual, we'll be recording our session today, and the recording will be made available to you in a few days' time. Please note that your mics are muted at present, just to limit background noise. But later on, towards the end of our session, we'll be having a Q&A segment, and you will then be able to unmute yourself and ask any questions or make any comments that you need to. Okay, we'll also have the chat box available throughout our spotlight session this morning. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to pop your questions into the chat box, and one of our BarnOwl representatives or our consultants will respond to you. Any questions that aren't addressed in the chat box will then get to at the end of our session during our Q&A segment. Okay, I'd just like to apologize in advance. I am recovering from a cold at the moment, so please excuse me if I do need to mute myself every now and then, but I'm pretty sure our spotlight session will still go well. Okay, so you can expect the recording and access to the recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation and any helpful links in a few days' time. We will make that available to you. To kick off our session, I'd like for us to have a look at our agenda for today and what we'll be covering. I will turn my camera off and then we can get started. Okay, I should be sharing my screen now. Everybody should be able to see that. Let me just remove this from my screen. And then we can get started. Okay, so as you guys know, we are going to be having a spotlight session on BarnOwl's web-based license today. We will be having a look at the web-based license, all the benefits of using it, and how it can assist you at your company moving forward with your risk management. During our spotlight session today, we will have a look at an overview of BarnOwl risk management aligned to industry standard GRC frameworks, BarnOwl license types, step-by-step risk register maintenance, including linking objectives, risks, contributing factors, controls, and action plans. We'll also have a look at BarnOwl's web-based reports or extracts and BarnOwl Web's favorite views. I'll also show you guys the My BarnOwl menu. We'll have a look at a bit of a summary, and then we'll move into our Q&A segment, where any questions that you may have will be addressed. As an overview of risk management when it comes to BarnOwl software, BarnOwl is fully aligned with industry standard frameworks, including ISO 31000 and COSO. Aligned to these frameworks, in your BarnOwl register, you would have your objective. You would have your objective, which would be your intended result or outcome that your organization seeks to achieve. You then have your risk, which is uncertainty, whether good or bad, that could affect your objectives. You also have your contributing factors, which are underlying conditions or root causes contributing towards an event or a risk occurring. Then you have your controls, which are mechanisms put in place to manage the risk, providing reasonable assurance that the organizational objectives will be achieved. BarnOwl also allows for action plans, key indicators, whether key risk indicators, key performance indicators, or key control indicators. It also caters to consequences and various different kinds of incidents. To look at this in a little more detail, we'll have a look at an integrated approach to risk management. Okay, so with BarnOwl, you have your objective. I've just put together a very basic example just to explain how the different items can link together in BarnOwl and what that would look like. Okay, so first we would have our objective, which would be, in this very simple example, it would be to improve employee retention by 15% within 18 months. We then link to the objective our risk, or we would have a risk linked to our objective. And an example of a risk which may prevent us from achieving our objective in this case would be high employee turnover. We could then have contributing factors linked to the risk. Our contributing factors or root causes can either be built into the BarnOwl risk form, or you can link them individually to the risk as well. Some basic examples in this case would be a lack of career development opportunities or better job offers elsewhere for staff members. The risk itself could result in consequences. So BarnOwl allows you to link consequences to your risks as well. Some of those consequences may be lost sales revenue or heavy workload on remaining staff, causing burnout and potential further departures. In BarnOwl, we are then able to link our controls either to the risk or to the contributing factors, depending on what we'd like to manage. Some examples of controls would be basic training programs or annual performance reviews. We finally have action plans, and action plans can be linked to any item in your BarnOwl register, depending on where a task or plan of action needs to be carried out. So you could link your action plan to your objective, to your risk, to your contributing factors, to your controls, to your consequences. And your action plan example could be to schedule regular interviews to determine training interests. Okay, and let me just move that again. There we go. Now, in BarnOwl, we also have risk incidents in various forms, which can be linked to the risk. These may range from loss events to fraud or similar incidents, and BarnOwl allows you to create and title your own risk incident register and then to link it directly to your risk. To further aid in allowing some sort of an early warning system, BarnOwl also allows the linking of key indicators to different items. Key risk indicators can be linked to your risk, key performance indicators can be linked to your objectives, and key control indicators can be linked to your controls. So just from having a look at this, we can see that BarnOwl allows easy to understand and logical linking. It also has a built-in dynamic reassessment, which automatically escalates early warning alerts as the risk landscape changes. These are not only triggered by controls, but also by key indicators as well. So it would trigger a reassessment, which would allow you to know that something has changed, and then you can relook your risk and possibly make changes to your residual rating as needed. BarnOwl has quite a few different licensing options. You can get more information on the different licensing options by visiting the BarnOwl website, and a link will be included in the write-up presentation of the Spotlight session and in the PowerPoint, which will be made available to you as well. The license that we are focused on today is the BarnOwl Web license. The web license is very similar to the desktop license. We're constantly updating and bettering the web license interface. At present, the BarnOwl Web license includes the functionality to capture or view objectives, risks, controls, contributing factors, action plans, incidents, and key indicators. You are also able to respond to votes, surveys, and questionnaires, and to make use of custom queries. It does, however, exclude access to the template libraries, workshops, risk assessment projects, and major risk and incident reporting, dashboards, and scorecards. But there are other reporting options available in the web license, which we will look at a little bit later during the Spotlight session. We're now going to cross over to the BarnOwl website, where we can have a look at the BarnOwl landing page, as well as some of the main functionality. Okay, so this is the BarnOwl landing page, and you can access BarnOwl Web by making use of a URL, which you'll receive from your BarnOwl administrator. You can then create a shortcut of this URL. Like you can see over here, I've got one called BarnOwl Eclipse, and it's just a shortcut on my desktop. And then by double clicking on it, it'll take you directly to your web page. Okay, so it's very easy to create the shortcut and allows quick access to the web version of BarnOwl as well. Okay, so we're just going to have a look at the landing page and what you'll see over here. As you can see, BarnOwl allows quick access to the different items where you are the owner. I can easily see my action plans, the action plans that are assigned to me. I can see votes that I'm required to vote on. I can also see my key indicators and assessment projects where I'm the owner. And I can also see any findings listed here that have been referred to me for feedback or comments. Okay, so those are very easy to see, and you can access any of those items by clicking on this open icon that is listed next to the item that you're viewing. So let's have a look at the basics involved in risk register maintenance. I'll use my general example that I explained earlier on, okay, which we can see over here. I'll make use of this example just to quickly create a few items in our web version so that we can see how simple it is to maintain our register, add new items, or edit any items in it. So the first item I would create is my objective. Okay, so as you can see over there, my objective, that'll be the first item that I would add. And in our example, my objective would be to improve employee retention by 15% within 18 months. So in BarnOwl, our first step would then be to go to risk management and to select our objective register and go to objective by unit. Okay, so you'll see the structure of BarnOwl. We've got our risk management and the different items under risk management. You can then select either the by unit item, which is your register, or the library item, which lists all of those items. So the objective library would list all of our available objectives. Okay, so I'm clicking on objectives by unit in order to access my objective register. Okay, so this is my objective register over here. Once you've selected your objective register, you'll then select the unit that you would like to link your objective to. Okay, and you do that easily by just ticking the box. I've ticked over there Bloom HR. That's where I'm going to be linking my new objective. You can then click on Link Library Objective to Unit, and your search box with your library of the items you've selected. So this is showing me all of my objectives that are currently in the system. The search box will open up, which allows me to search for the objective that I want to add in order to see whether it's in the system already. Okay, so if it is there already, I can just select it and then click on Link Selected. That will prevent duplication by me adding the same item that already exists in the system. And obviously it cuts out on time because I'm not wasting time recreating something that is already there. Okay, if you've searched, which you can use the search box for, and basically when you type in the search box, it'll search any of the fields that you've got over there. Okay, and it limits the information based on what you've put in that search box. So even if I start searching financial, it'll show me items that have financial in the reference field as well. Okay, so it will pick up any items that are displayed and it will then show that to me and I can select from those items. If the item that you'd like to add is not, in the database already, then you can click on New Library Objective and create a brand new one. Okay, so this is my objective creation form for my objective library. You will note that some items are bold. Those are our mandatory or compulsory fields. So you have to populate those. If you don't populate it and you try and save, you will get a message telling you that you need to complete all the mandatory fields. Okay, so I will provide a title for my objective based on the example that I've displayed a little bit earlier. All right. If you have a reference or description information, you can populate those fields as well. They are optional. That's why you can see they're not bold. Okay. You can then click on the drop down and select save and edit your unit objective, because what you've populated now is your library information, and that information will be saved in your database. So if someone else needs to add the same item in future for a different unit, they can then do the search function or use the search functionality, which we saw when we decided that we wanted to add our objective, and they can pull this item from the library instead of having to recreate it. Okay, so we've created a new item. We can then click on save and edit the unit objective to populate our unit specific information. Once you've saved your form, you are also able to attach documents to it by using the documents upload document item over here, and you just attach a document to what you've created. Okay, so I am going to click on save and edit unit objective so that I can edit my unit objective information. As you can see here, the library information is now grayed out and it says read only. You can edit the library information by clicking on Open Objective Library Record and then editing the information there. We don't need to edit any of the information, so we're not going to do that. You can then go to the different tabs. You can view the information that is displayed. As you can see with this tab, it shows us which unit our objective is now going to be linked to. You can go to the detail tab, which allows you to link your objective to a parent objective or to provide unit specific descriptions to your objective. You can go to the ratings tab, which will allow you to rate the significance and the certainty of your objective. You can also add an owner to the objective by use of the owners tab. You do have the option to include custom fields in BarnOwl. Okay, so this is limited. Creating custom fields is limited to administrators, but once an administrator has added the field, you will find them as additional fields after the owners tab in your different forms. Okay, so in my objective form, this tab that says additional data, this is a custom field, and all these additional fields here have been created by an administrator in our server management console. Once you've populated the information and you're happy with it, you can then click on Save and Close. Okay, so as you can see now in my objective register, I've created a new objective and it's listed on this list as well. All right, so based on our example, we've linked our objective. We would then link our risk to our objective as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my BarnOwl screen over here, and we are now going to link our risk to our objective. In my example, the risk would be high employee turnover. BarnOwl does allow you to create risks that are not linked to objectives. Okay, and if you wanted to create a risk that is not linked to an objective, you could then just go to your risk by unit, so your risk register. And then you would select the unit that you'd like to link it to, and you would create it in a similar way that we linked our objective directly to our unit. Okay, in our example, we are linking our risk to our objective and not just directly to the unit. So I am going to go to my objective register in order to find the objective that I would like to link my risk to. In most cases, risks are linked to objectives in your risk registers. And so that's why we're going to be doing it that way in our example today. I've now gone to my objective by unit register, and I'm going to look for the objective that I created, which is improve employee retention by 15%. That's the one that I want to link my risk to. So once you found your objective, you can then click on this icon to open up your objective, and it will open up your objective structure. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see an ellipsis over here that allows you different options on what you can do with this objective that you've identified or that you've selected. Okay, so my objective is opened over here, but I want to link a risk to my objective. So I will use the ellipsis over here, and I can then go to link risk to my objective. Okay, so once I've selected my link risk, again, that search form opens up. I can then search the form to see if the risk I'd like to create is already available in the library. And like I mentioned earlier, if it is, I can easily just select it and then say that I want to link it. If it's not in the library, then I would click on New Library Risk and create a brand new one, just like I did with my objective. Okay, so I would first provide my title, which is high staff turnover or high employee turnover over there. Again, the title is a mandatory field, so it must be completed. You can populate the reference and description fields if you have that information. And then you need to select a category and a subcategory because those are mandatory fields as well. Okay, so I will just select that as a category, and I will select that as my subcategory. All of your categories and subcategories are set up according to your risk methodology. So they will be different in your environment. And those are set up in your server management console by your administrator, or they can be edited by your administrator at any point. Okay, as you can see, I've got a custom field on my library form as well. Okay, but I've completed my main information that I need to complete. So I will click on the drop down and say save and edit my unit risk information. Okay, once again, my library form is grayed out, but I could open it if I'd like to. I will then edit my other tabs where I need to provide information. So here is my unit risk description. I could also provide ratings over here on my risk register. Okay, so if you are using an automatic formula, you will then have your risk rate, your residual ratings automatically calculated for you. Your only focus would then be to provide your inherent ratings. All right, you will provide your ratings over here for your impact and for your likelihood. You can provide impact or likelihood rationale as well, the reason why you have rated your item the way that you have. And based on the ratings that you've provided in your inherent ratings, it would then, when you've linked your controls, if you have a formula in place, that would update your residual ratings as well. Okay, so I'm just going to provide any ratings over here. I will say that this has medium impact, and I'll say that this is moderate. Okay, that'll then provide me with an inherent rating over here based on my impact and my likelihood. Your control adequacy option here allows you to provide an overall opinion on all of the controls that you link to this risk. So because we haven't linked anything, we don't see anything on this form yet. But once you've linked controls, you'll be able to see them listed here and then to provide an overall opinion on them. You are also able to add an owner to your controls by using this option here and searching for the name of the person that you would like to add as an owner and then adding them as an owner. BarnOwl also allows you to add owner types to any of the owners that you've added. Okay, and these are also set up in your server management console as well. So you can then add the owner type by selecting the correct one from the drop down there. It isn't mandatory, so if you don't want to use it and you want to leave it as none, then you do have an option to do that as well. Again, additional custom fields or any additional fields that you add will be listed after your owners tab. Once you're happy with the way you've completed or populated the form, you can then click on Save and Close. Okay, so as you can see in my objective structure, I've got my objective, and underneath it, it's got a folder for my risk because I've now linked a risk to my objective. So it allows you to easily see any items that are linked to the objective over here. Okay, so I've linked my risk to my objective, so you can see it displayed over there. We're now going to link a contributing factor, all right, based on our example. Contributing factors, as a reminder, are root causes or items that contribute towards the risk occurring. Some organizations choose to build their contributing factors into their risk form, and others choose to link them individually. If you've linked your contributing factors individually, then you have an option of linking controls to your individual contributing factors. If you choose to add your contributing factors into your risk form, built into a custom field, for example, then you're unable to link individual controls to the individual contributing factors, but you can still link your controls directly to the risk. Okay, so we are now going to link our contributing factors individually to our risk in a similar way to how we linked our risk to our objective. All right, so over here in BarnOwl, I could then go to my risk by unit, and I could find the risk that I've added. Okay, so this is the risk that I created, high employee turnover. I can now link my contributing factor to it by opening up my risk. That shows me my risk structure, and it shows me that I have an objective linked to this risk. Okay, I can then go to my risk, high employee turnover, and make use of the ellipsis over here to say that I want to link contributing factors to my risk. Okay, so again, you can always search first to see if the item is available in the library. And if it isn't, you would then click on New Library Contributing Factor. You guys will see that a lot of the steps are repeated. So we add new items in exactly the same way. This makes it very easy to remember and also makes the system a whole lot more user-friendly. It's more user-friendly because you're repeating the same steps over and over. And obviously, the more you do something, the easier it becomes to remember, and you're able to work on the system a whole lot easier, quicker. Okay, so I'm now linking my contributing factor to my risk. I've selected to create or elected to create a new contributing factor. And so my contributing factor library form has opened up. Again, my title is mandatory, so I need to provide a title for my contributing factor. Based on our example, mine will be lack of career development opportunities. If you have reference and description information, you can then add that information in there as well. Category and subcategory, once again, are mandatory, so you will select one from the options that are available to you. I've just selected default, and I'm going to make use of that in this case. Okay, I don't need to populate any custom fields, but as you can see, custom fields are displayed there as well. I will then use the drop down once again to say save and edit unit contributing factor. Okay, my form is grayed out for the library, but I can edit it. I can also populate my other fields, okay, like a specific unit description or a description for my contributing factor, the units that it's linked to. I can also provide ratings for my contributing factor. I can rate the priority of the contributing factor and the control strategy for this contributing factor. Any additional fields will appear thereafter because there will be custom fields. If you don't have any custom fields, then you won't see any additional fields after your rating. Once you're done, you can click on Save and Close. Now you can see linked to my risk, I've got an objective and I've got contributing factors. And to see what the objectives or contributing factors are, you can just click on that little arrow and it will list all the objectives or all the contributing factors that are linked to this particular risk. Okay, so looking at our example again, we can now link our controls. Okay, so our controls can be linked to the risk, or they can be linked to the contributing factor. Okay, so I'm going to link my control directly to my risk. Okay, so we can stay in the same form in our risk structure because we're going to be linking our control to our risk. So the same way we linked our contributing factor to the risk, we just go to that ellipsis again on the side here, and we say link controls. Okay, our library form is going to open up again. We can search for our new item, or we can click on new library control. Okay, so remember that you must populate the mandatory fields. Okay, and our first mandatory field is our title. Okay, so I'm just going to populate my title over there. Basic training programs. All right, there are a few other mandatory fields in the control form that you would need to populate as well. Okay, so as you can see, I've got nature of control. I've also got control timing. So my basic training programs will be there to prevent high staff turnover. And then the frequency would be default if I wanted to make it default, or I would say ad hoc if I had ad hoc as an option. So how often that particular control will come into play. You could add your control procedure. If this is a compliance control, you would then add regulatory requirement information. If you have, if you make use of the compliance module and you have a compliance control linked to a non-compliance, it would automatically populate that regulatory requirement field for you with the information from your compliance act or regulation, which is really helpful as well. You can then also add effectiveness procedure information. And as you can see over here, once you've saved your form, you can attach documents to these individual fields as well. If you'd prefer to attach supporting evidence or to add additional details instead of just typing everything out, then that's an option as well. Okay. So this is your library form information. So remember, everything that you populate on this page is your general information that a copy will remain in the library, in the database. So if someone else wants to use this particular control in future, they can copy this control from the library, and all the data that you've populated in this library form, that will automatically pull through for them. Okay. Once you've completed that form, you can then click on Save and Edit Unit Control. Okay, again, as you can see, my library form is grayed out. I can't edit it over here. I can edit the rest of the items, or if I wanted to edit my library, again, as a reminder, I could just click on that, and then I could edit my library information. My detail information is now specific to the unit. Okay, so we had control procedure, regulatory requirement, and effectiveness procedure on the library side of the form, which is your general data, which will pull through from the library. But the information that is displayed here now is your unit specific information. Okay, so you can populate this as well, or you can choose to populate the unit instead of populating the library side of the form. Then you've also got your ratings, where you will provide a rating for your control. So you can say whether it's adequate or inadequate based on your rating methodology or your risk methodology. Those options will then be available. Okay, so I've rated mine over there. I do also have space to provide a reason on why I've rated it the way that I've rated it over there. And I can attach a document as well to support that reason, or to provide supporting evidence for the rating that I've provided. Okay, Then we've got our owners tab. Again, you can add an owner to the control, just as you can add an owner to any of the other BarnOwl items. It's not mandatory, so you do not need to have an owner for every single thing, but it does allow you the option to add an owner. So you can just search for an item or the name of the person rather that you would like to add as the owner. You can then click on that person's name, and then you can choose to give them an owner type, or you can choose to leave it as none. Okay. You can also add custom fields to your control form, and those custom fields would appear here after your owners tab. Okay, so once you're happy with it and you've completed your form, you can then click on Save and Close. As you can see, my risk now has objectives, contributing factors, and controls linked to it. And those are displayed as folders under my risk. Okay, so as a reminder, you can expand each folder to see the item or the items that are linked to it underneath it. In our example, the next item that we can link as well is our consequence. Okay, my example over here shows I will make use of heavy workload on remaining staff as a consequence. Okay, that I will select from here, and I can then add that, link that to my risk. Same steps all over again, making it very, very easy to use. All right, so you just go right back to your risk, use the ellipsis, and this time you're going to say link consequence. Okay, now I can say new consequence linked to my risk, because the library form has opened up. All right, so I can search and see if that item is available in the library. If it's not available in the library, I will click on new consequence over here. Okay, there is my title, heavy workload on remaining staff. You can provide a shortened title and then additional information in your description. That usually works best. Okay, so lengthy titles don't display as well as nicely in your registers. It's always good to have a nice, short, to the point title, and then you can add additional information in your description. Remember to populate any mandatory fields. Okay, and you can attach documents as well. And then you can click on Save and Close. Okay, so this is just your consequence reassessment detail, owners tab, if you have information that you'd like to populate there, and then you can click on Save and Close. Okay, so as you can see, it lets you know, like I mentioned earlier, if you don't populate a custom, not a custom field, a mandatory field, it will give you that pop-up. So you know that you need to go back and you need to populate that mandatory or those mandatory fields, and then only you'll be able to save and close. All right, so I've got objectives, contributing factors, controls, and consequences linked to my risk. The final item that I will link to my risk is my action plan. Now, remember, your action plans can be linked to anything. Okay, so wherever the task needs to be carried out, that is where you will link your action plan. So if I needed something to be done regarding one of my controls, I've got a control in place for basic training programs, and I need someone to draw up that training program, I could then link my action plan to my control basic training programs. Or if I wanted to find out what was the current employee turnover rate, I could link my action plan to my risk, high employee turnover, and request someone to provide statistics or to provide a report on the staff turnover. Okay, so depending on where a task needs to be carried out, that's where you will link your action plan. For simplicity, I will link my action plan to my risk as well, okay, which allows me to stay in the same register and just to click on the ellipsis over there and then to say that I want to link action plans. Okay, so once you clicked on link action plan, you can then create a new action plan over here. Remember, with action plans are free to everyone, or for everyone to carry out a task and anyone to respond to them without a license. Okay, so you do not need a license in order to receive an action. You do need a license to create an action plan. Okay, so as a web license or desktop license holder, any BarnOwl license, you can create an action plan. But anybody, whether they have a license or not, they will be able to receive that action plan and to respond to it. Okay, so once you're on your action plan page over here, you will provide a title for your action plan. So just looking at our example over here, I'll say schedule regular interviews as my example. Schedule regular interviews. Okay, if you have a reference or description information, you can then populate it there. You can also attach your documents once you've saved the form. And then with your action plan, once you've sent it off or you've added someone as an owner, they are then able to provide a current status summary. They can also provide a status update to say that they're halfway or they're in the final stages or they've just started. They can provide that information and they can provide the percentage complete. So your status is linked to your percentage complete. For example, if I say that I'm halfway through this action plan, it updates my percentage complete to 50%. Okay. Or if I update my percentage to 75%, it updates my status to final stages. So those two are linked. All right. So once you've assigned an action plan to somebody, they can respond to it by that they could attach documents as well. That functionality is available to them as well. They can also provide a status update to say how far along they are and what percentage of the task they've completed. Okay, and it's very important to provide those updates because a lot of companies rely on those for reporting purposes as well. Then your start date and your end date, those are fields that you will need to populate as someone who is creating an action plan. Okay, and by clicking on the calendar icon, you can then indicate the start date. So when the action plan, the task is going to be started. And you can also use the calendar icon next to the due date or the end date over here to indicate the due date of this particular action. Okay, so this says that the action plan will be active or it's going to be started from the 9th of October, and the end date or the due date that this task must be completed by is the 17th of October. Progress notes are also available for those who are receiving the action plans to provide an update on how far they are with it. Okay, so those who receive action plans, they can update the percentage complete, they'll update the status, they can provide information on the current status or current status of the task that they're working on. They can attach documents and they can provide progress notes. So progress notes will allow more detail on where they are as they progress with this action plan. Okay, you are also you do also have the option as an administrator to make your progress notes tab a mandatory field. Okay, so that when your users are completing the action plan form, they have to provide a progress note when they've updated their state. This allows for better reporting because you've got that additional information that you can pull through to your reports as well in BarnOwl. Okay, so once you've updated that information, you can provide an owner, There is an option to create a recurrence on your action plan. You can escalate your action plans as well, so that there is always someone that is as a backup plan if the initial owner does not respond to the action plan in time. This just shows you what your default emails are looking like. And this is an additional custom field. So this is just an example of a custom field that can be added on your action plan form. Once you're happy with it, you can then click on save and close. Okay, so as you can see, that pop-up that I need to provide information in the mandatory field appeared here. And that's because my custom field has a mandatory field over there as well. Okay, so I will just say documentation to be attached. And then I could attach the necessary documentation over there. Okay, and then I've clicked on save and close. So I've now saved my action plan. And you can see that I have a folder for action plans displayed over there as well. All right, so that's just a quick overview on how you can easily add items to your register. It's also easy to edit them because you just simply click on the open icon and you can just edit any of the information, in any of your forms by reopening them, editing them, and then clicking on save and close. Okay, so it's very easy to create new items and to edit them. And BarnOwl Web allows you to see all of your risks or objective information easily on one page. As you guys have been able to see, you can view all your linked items, which are linked to the risk over here in my risk structure, or linked to my objective in my objective structure. Okay, so if I click on my objective structure, you can view all the items that are linked to it as well, all right, by going into that particular item. It allows you an easy to understand view with the folders where you can expand the folders and you can see what's linked to them as well. Okay, so now we are going to have a look at our next item, which is web-based report or extracts. BarnOwl has exports and reports that are easy to generate and download. By using your control button on your keyboard, so I'm just going to go back to my risk register over there. That's my risk by unit, my risk register. So just by using the control button on your keyboard, you can select multiple units that you would like to view the information for in your register. Okay, so you can select multiple items, multiple units, and it will display all the risk or all the controls depending on which unit, or all the objectives depending on the item that you've chosen. And it will select it, or it will display it if you've selected by ticking those individual units over there. So you can create a customized global register, not only to view the risk or objectives of a single unit that you may be on, but allowing you to see the information for multiple units at one time. Okay, another way of doing this as well, besides ticking individual items, is by using the ellipsis on the side. Okay, so you just click on the ellipsis and you can say select all units. It'll then automatically tick all of those units. Okay, so if I go on my main unit and I say select all units, it'll select all of my units in my main org structure, and I can basically see everything in my company. So I can see all of my units and my child units, which gives me a global view of all the units in my org structure. You also have an option of using the risk by unit register export. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly deselect all of these items. Okay, so again, you can choose the units that you would like to report on. Okay, and then you can just go to your register. So I'm just going to go back to my risk register, my risk by unit. And I can select the units that I'd like to report on. And then I can go to export over here. Okay, and I can say risk by unit register export. Okay, so that will then create sort of like a report view based on the units that I've selected. Okay, and it shows me all of those items, the description, the ratings for all of them based on the units that I've selected to draw this report on. Another option that we have available as well when it comes to web-based reports or extracts is to make use of the custom queries that we have. Okay, so if you have a look in BarnOwl, you'll see that we have a section over here that's called DIY. When you click on it, you'll see that we have custom queries underneath it. And custom queries are a form of report or register that are also very easy to use and export. So once you've clicked on your custom query under DIY, you can then select the query that you'd like to run and then click on run. Okay, all of your custom queries are listed on this page under custom queries. All right, we have this very useful custom query called Risk Register Dashboard, which is the one that I've just clicked on. And that is available to all of our web users. If it's not displayed in your DIY, in your custom query section, when you log on to your web version, you can just send an email to our support team at support at barnowl.co.za. They'll then provide you with details or a script to assist you in adding it to your BarnOwl Web. Okay, they'll provide you with guidance on how to add it and everything. And once this has been set up, because it's just a once-off setup, you're then able to make use of this query. It will always be available for use. Okay, so once you've added it, whether you've got it already or our support team have assisted you in order for you to get this, you will just tick it and then click on run. You can then select the units, okay, or the units that you would like to report on. Okay, so I would just select maybe this unit over there. Maybe I would select this unit. You can select whichever units or unit you would like to select. And then you will click on OK. After you've selected your units, you can then click on Run again. Okay, so once the report is displayed, you can easily drag and reorder the columns as needed. So maybe I want my objectives to appear before my risk. I can click on objective, drag it, and then drop it in front of my risk title. Okay, and when you click on a heading, you can also reorder it either alphabetically, in alphabetical or reverse alphabetical order, or by clicking on your ratings, you can arrange them from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. You are also able to use filters by clicking on the ellipsis next to any particular column and then going to filter and adding a filter here. Okay, so I can say it must contain, and I can choose an item number or a word, or I can say it must end with, or it is empty or not empty, or it's equal to. You can basically indicate what you would like to see and filter those items. Once you're happy with your setup, then you can just click on export and choose the format that you'd like to export it in, whether a register report format, Excel, or a PDF. Okay, so once you've chosen the format, it's automatically going to download to your computer. You can then click on open file and it will open it up for you. Okay. Our developers are able to create other custom queries for you as well, based on your requirements. So you can just send through an email for more information on this, or to receive a quote based on your requirements or a spec. Okay, so this is our dashboard that is available to you, that we will assist you in getting if you don't have it yet. But you can indicate a custom query that you would like. Maybe there are certain fields you would like to see, or additional information you'd like displayed. You can send us an email and we can assist you. We can provide you with a quote or give you additional information on how we can help you with that. Okay, our next item that we're going to look at is our favorite views. On our web version of BarnOwl, you can create favorite views to customize the way the information in the libraries or registers is viewed, and then to save those views. So if I go back to my risk, this my standard risk register for my unit over here. Okay, I can choose how I would like to see this information. So if I would like to see my risk description over here, which is the same way I showed you to sort your custom queries, you can also sort your registers. Okay, so you can drag and remove, you can rearrange columns, you can use this to reorder by alphabetical order, or to change your order of your ratings from highest to lowest, lowest to highest. You can also choose to remove or add certain columns by using the ellipsis. Okay, so here by your columns option, if you don't want to see a certain column, you can just untick it. Okay, if there's a column you would like to add, you can tick it. Okay, and it then updates your register based on what you would like to see. You can also group your items by dragging a column header, okay, and dropping it over here where it says drag a column header and drop it here to group by that column. It'll then group your items according to that. So if I group according to my inherent rating, you can see it'll separate them according to what their inherent ratings are. So all the items with the 9 would be grouped together, with the 12 would be grouped together. That's how it would group them. Okay, so once you've played around with it and you're happy with the view that you have, you can then save that as a favorite view by clicking on the favorite view button. Okay, so you click on the favorite view button and then you select new. All right, you can then rename this view. Okay, so I will call this maybe risk-based view, or whatever I feel I would like to call it. If you mark it as public by ticking this box, then other users will also be able to view it. Okay, if it's not marked as public, it will only be limited to your particular BarnOwl access. Okay, once you're happy with it, you can then click on save and close, and then you will be making use of your particular view. Okay, to load a previously added view or another view that you maybe want to go back to the default view, you can click on the favorite view button and use the select, and then you can either go back to the standard risk by unit view or choose one of the other views that you have available. Okay, and you just select it from the drop down over there. Okay, so that's how easy it is to work with favorite views. Our next item that also helps with customizing and shortcutting is the My BarnOwl Web, the My BarnOwl menu. Okay, and that is also extremely useful. It's used to customize your landing page or your dashboard, and it allows you to easily find the items or registers that you use most without having to search for them through the systems menu. To utilize this, you can click on the My BarnOwl over there, and then you can select Manage My BarnOwl. You're able to create categories and subcategories before adding pages to them. So I could click on New Category, okay, and I could maybe call my category Registers, and then I could click on OK. I could then click on my category and create a subcategory, maybe called Important Registers. And then click on OK. Now I can choose to add pages to the subcategory that I've created. So maybe one of the most important registers I use is my risk by unit. Okay, so there it is over there, risk by unit. I can click on add risk by unit page. You can also use your favorite view. Okay, so like the favorite view, the risk by unit listed as a favorite view with risk categories, I can click on that and I can add that under my important registers category. Then I can click on save and close once I'm happy. And when I go back to my BarnOwl over here, you can see I've got a shortcut to those registers that I've favorited over here. Okay, so system view has everything, but you now need to go through everything to find the register or the view that you're looking for. Whereas by using My BarnOwl, you've got a quick and easy way to access that information. Okay, so in summary, BarnOwl Web drives ownership and accountability of all GRC activities throughout the organization, which results in operational effectiveness, improved compliance, reduced risk exposure, and streamlined operations. It also allows cultural change and engagement with the strong risk-aware culture and greater employee engagement in governance practices. Business outcomes also enhance decision-making, business resilience, and sustained regulatory compliance. Audit and assurance, with fewer audit findings, faster remediation, and improved stakeholder confidence. So with BarnOwl, you can capture objectives, which are the intended result or outcome that an organization seeks to achieve. You can capture your risks, which are your uncertainty, whether good or bad, that could affect your objectives. You can capture your contributing factors, which are your underlying conditions or root causes that contribute to an event occurring. You can also capture controls, which are your mechanisms put in place to manage risks, providing reasonable assurance that organizational objectives will be achieved. You can capture your action plans. Action plans ensure accountability, timely issue resolution, and better governance. And then you can capture consequences, key indicators, incidents, and key indicators provide early warning signals to proactively manage risks and performance incidents such as loss events, wasteful expenditure, and irregular expenditure. All right, so we've listed over here a few useful resources for additional information further to the Spotlight session. These links will be included on the BarnOwl website along with the PowerPoint presentation and the video recording. I think we can now move over to our Q&A segment. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask any questions you may have. You could also post your questions in the chat, and the BarnOwl team and I will do our best to answer them. Okay, so I'll just give you guys a minute to unmute yourself, and we will take some questions. Okay, is everybody able to unmute themselves?
Yes, Jade.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Great stuff. Who do we have as our first question? Bongani, your hand is up. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Jade. Thank you for very comprehensive presentation regarding the BarnOwl. I think it is clear, and I must say that it's user-friendly kind of it, and I'm happy with that because we used to work or put much of our work on a manual approach when it comes to the risk management matters. I'm Bongani from Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency. What I just want to find out, it's only one thing, is that with this BarnOwl web-based, it will allow one to work on a hybrid setup, meaning on remote side as well as, that's great. Definitely. And the last one on that, can I work outside of the internet-based, outside of the being online? Like I know there's this one of audit a software which they call it Teammate offline, and then when you comes online, you can replicate your work that you have done on offline. Yeah, that's the only thing I have. Thank you, Janet.
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Bongani. So with regards to your first comment about being able to work remotely, yes, 100%. BarnOwl Web is very quick with VPN, especially compared to the desktop version. And that's one of the benefits of using the BarnOwl Web. So with VPN, it's going to be a whole lot faster, and it will benefit you if you are working remotely. Okay, then with regards to working outside of the network, I don't know if one of our technical consultants, Christo, thank you, Christo, if you will be able to respond to that for us.
Yes, so we do have offline functionality for BarnOwl risk management. However, we encourage customers not to use it at the moment because there's no lock-in. So if you are going to take a risk management unit offline, you will need to be very strict on who can work on that unit, because if someone else works on that unit and you synchronize back online, it's the possibility for data corruption is there. So yes, it is possible. However, you need to manage it very strictly within your organization to ensure no one else works on a offline unit while you are offline. Just another thing to mention as well, if you are offline and you do not have remote connectivity to your network, you won't be able to use BarnOwl Lite offline or BarnOwl Web offline. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Christo. Bongani, does that answer your question?
Yes, I'm answered. Thank you, Janet.
Great stuff. Okay. I think we do have a few other hands up as well. I'm trying to see. I think it was Maloma that hand was up first. You can go ahead.
Good morning, JD and colleagues.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's Mamushugane from GPT internal risk. So I just want to verify on the I saw on the when you were highlighting the risk ratings, the ratings, they have 3 colors. So in our framework we have 4 colors. I'm not sure if whether that will then be easily incorporated by the administrator, or it's you on your side who are developing the system who are going to do that.
Okay.
Just to make sure that you're aligning with our framework. So
yes.
The other question I wanted to ask around the risk owners. So in terms of loading the details of the risk owner, the respective managers that are not the risk specialists, or that are not from risk management. So we just have to then populate them manually in the system, putting them their emails, making sure that all managers are loaded on BarnOwl, or you'll have to load them as and when you are updating the risk or the action plans. And then yeah, also I wanted to check on the reporting side. I saw you show us an Excel, you exported Excel report. I'm not sure if whether you have a report that has dashboards that explains, that can give some graphs in giving an overview of the risk register in terms of like having an executive summary, where you then can be able to take through a management through the dashboard report with that executive summary. Do you have something like that? Do you have also can you be able to download or export the report on Word with those that I'm asking? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. I'm hoping that I won't miss anything, but if there is anything that I don't address, then please just remind me. I think one of the questions that you had was with regards to the colors on the risk ratings. So your account manager or your implementation consultant, they will work with you to set up your database. Okay, so your administrator is able to make changes to your database, to change the colors or to add additional colors. Your risk rate during the implementation process and can be updated if things change in the future, but it's all based on your risk methodology. Okay, so how things are set up in your database is done according to your risk rating methodology or your risk methodology, and those are the colors and the ratings that are usually put in the database for you. Okay, when it comes to reports, the particular reports that you are asking about are not automatically available in the web version of BarnOwl. You can provide us with information in an email to support or chat to your implementation consultant or your account manager to assist you with the spec on a custom report or what would be the best reports that we have available in the system that could help you. We do also have Power BI reports, a standard Power BI report package that is available as well, that does pull through lots of other information like visuals and risk registers that are in the system, and it does pull that through together nicely as well. But I think it would be best for you to meet with your account manager or your implementation consultant to show them what your current reports are looking like, give them an idea on exactly what it is you're looking for, and they'll then be able to advise you on what would be the best way to get that information. Okay, so it is definitely possible to do all types of reporting with BarnOwl. It's just a case on whether it's available or whether we need to do a custom report for you. But any information that is in the BarnOwl system can always be taken out. Okay, Jonathan, I think you maybe have your hand up. You wanted to add something to that?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So just because I know about GPT as well. So Maloma, there are the Power BI dashboards are extensive. So, I mean, I would start with that as well. In terms of your second question, which was on risk owners, I know GPT or GBG or that you've got entities outside of your domain as well. So you guys have been set up not to sync to your Active Directory. Most clients will have their Active Directory, which means everyone in the organization is synced to the user table in BarnOwl. But I think in your environment, we are manually importing the relevant users because not all of you are in the same domain, because you've got municipalities and you've also got some of the entities outside of your standard GPT domain. So, but we can take that up afterwards as well if you've got more questions on that. So I know Vware's looking after you guys. Hopefully that answers your second question. Good.
Thank you, Jonathan. Maloma, did that address your questions? Is there anything that we've missed?
No, I'm okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you. And then I think the next question is from Cindy. Cindy, would you like to go ahead? Cindy,
we can't hear you.
Are you able to unmute?
If you have a problem with your microphone, you are welcome to put the question into the chat box.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we will come back to you, Cindy, if you are able to unmute yourself. The next question is Mano. Mano, would you like to go ahead?
Okay.
Mano?
Hi.
Hi,
Yes.
Mano.
Sorry, I was looking for the mute button. So my question is more admin related. I didn't see anything that had such a workflow, for example, timesheets. Is it possible to sort of have that sort of reporting or inputting of data in terms of timesheets and the people who are involved within the project?
Okay, so timesheets are more based on our audit module. at the moment, and those can be accessed on the risk desktop, desktop application. That's where you'll usually find timesheets, and the reporting on timesheets and everything is located there within the audit module. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. I think the next one was from Aurelio. You can go ahead.
When I get to the stage, I'm gonna be
Hello.
Hi, Aurelio.
Hello. Yes, hi. How are we, Jade?
Very well, thanks. And you?
It's doing good. Yes. My question was just upon the automated residual risk calculation, in which I wanted to know on whose end this would now be implemented, on the end of the administrator or our end, in which we ourselves have to be one to make up this formula and implement it on the BarnOwl system so that it automatically calculates for us these residual risks, as you stated earlier in the presentation.
Okay, thank you for your question. So that is set up by your administrator. Okay, so that is also something that is discussed usually during your implementation. Your implementation consultant or your account manager can assist you in setting up a AutoCalc formula and putting that into the database. Your administrator can amend it at any point. We usually suggest that you chat to your account manager, just for clarity before you make any changes to things such as your AutoCalc formula or your risk rating methodology, because it does update and change your registers a lot. So it's probably best to chat to your account manager or your implementation consultant. But yes, that is definitely something that your administrator would do on your server management console. As a user, when you are adding your risk or working on your register, that formula will already be there, and it will automatically update your residual risk rating for you.
Thank you. That answers everything that I needed.
Okay, thank you. The next question was from Twafiwa, I think, Hater. Twafiwa Hater.
Yes. Thank you.
Can go ahead.
Yes. Morning, everybody. I wanted to ask, because, sorry, there was a, oh, sorry, but the sneeze. No, there was a comment on the chat box about requesting if you can capture an incident. Are you able to do that?
Yes, so you definitely can capture incidents, and you can link incidents as well. We didn't go into that with our basic demonstration because we were just sticking to the basic items that are added in a risk register, but you can definitely link, and you do link them in the same way as well. Okay, so as with the ellipsis, where you will then choose, you go to your risk, you use the ellipsis to say link incident. And you can then choose which kind of incident you would like to link, whether you're linking a loss event, whether you're linking, fruitful and wasteful expenditure, whatever kind of incident register you've created, you are able to link it in the web version by using that ellipsis and then clicking on link incident. And then you follow the same steps with the form and filling in the tabs and clicking on save and close as well.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any other hands. Are there any other questions?
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, yes. It's Cindy. Thank you, Jade.
Hi, Cindy.
I wanted to ask, taking into account how we basically manage or centralize the risk management, I'm currently assisting with the risk management function, but according to our structure, we don't really have risk management. So as a result, we need assistance in division. So we appointed champions, which basically do the facilitation of risk management, because it lies with the head of department being the custodian, of the risk that pertains to that particular department. So meaning the process, it will start with with the risk champion, collecting POEs from applicable managers, and then the HOD will have to sign it off or review and sign it off, and then they send it to us. Now that's a manual process. Then on my end, when I get it, I review to check whether the mitigation plans have been documented correctly and the POEs they were supposed to have added, they've added, and so forth. So will the system, I think, allow that whole value chain, to be possible on the system?
So, Cindy, if you're asking if different people will be able to update and change the items as they go along, then yes, definitely that is possible, and it can be edited. You can edit the different items. So one person can provide a certain rating. A next person can then come in and review it and change it as well. The system does also log everything. So we do also have a history function that will allow you to see who has made a change. So you can see as well that, okay, so this was changed after this particular person reviewed it or had a look at it. From that viewpoint, it can be done as well. And if you needed to, inform somebody that they need to review or they need to make a change or they need to have a look at a certain item, then you could probably create an action plan for it and assign it to that person so that they know that they need to relook that item and review it. I'm not sure if I've understood your question correctly, if that answers your question. Please let me know.
Absolutely.
Or we'll provide.
Yes.
Is it correct? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Okay. Awesome. Are there any other questions? I don't see any other hands. Okay, Mpho. Yes, you have a question. You can go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. And good morning, everyone. I just want to check with the risk owners. Will they be able to have access to the system whenever they need to provide progress? And once one has completed progress, do you get notified maybe when you log into the system? Let's say you are dealing with about 6 departments. Will you then get notification to say, okay, corporate services has responded, please check their response? And like that interaction during using of the system. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mpho. So I think you're referring to action plans and updating progress on your action plans. If that is the case, then yes, the person who is the owner or added as an owner on an action plan or the originator, the creator of an action plan, they will be able to receive information on the action plan. They can check and they can see when there are changes. Generally, they will not get an email on every single thing that is changed on the action plan, but they will have access to the action plan at any to go in and to have a look and to check and see that progress has been made. So yes, all your risk owners that do have licenses, web licenses, they will be able to access the platform. Your users who do not have licenses as well will also be able to access the web platform to see their action plans. So they can view their action plans and they can make changes to that, whether or not they have a license. Does that answer your question, Mpho, or do you have any further questions?
Yes, you did answer it quite well, ma'am. But one last thing, because when we do it manually, as we are currently doing, when we request progress, we will usually send out emails to the risk owners and indicate that they need to provide progress on a particular quarter. So with the system, how are we going to do that?
Okay, so well, either you can use your action plans. Okay, so your action plans, you can set up a notification to go off like 1 week or 1 month before the due date. This will allow people to receive that email to tell them that it's 1 week before the due date. They need to provide feedback on the action plan, or they need to, complete the action plan and make sure that the task is completed. This will remind them of the task and of the deadline. Otherwise, you can set a consolidation email as well, which can be set to go off on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis, that will provide your users with a list of all of the action plans that are assigned to them. And you can indicate in the body that they need to update their progress for the quarter. You can also include a link to their action plan so that they can view their list of action plans and they can then provide an update on that particular quarter. Okay, so those are just a couple of ideas on how you can get people to provide their progress at certain intervals by using the system.
Thank you, ma'am. That covers me. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Mpho. Robert, I see you've got your hand up. You can go ahead. Or Carol.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Carol Roberts.
Hi,
You
Carol.
mentioned earlier, Jade, about the VPN. And most of us are still working hybrid, and VPN is not something that is really, I can't say not active for GPG, but we all have challenges with VPN at home. So how do you overcome that? Because obviously, if you can't work on the web-based and you must work on the, you say the offline or the desktop part of it, how do you then interface, or if I can say marry the two? Because won't it be a duplication? If I do something while I'm at home, when I'm in the office, I will have to redo the function, and there won't be maybe a pop-up or anything from our risk owner section. Because I'm also looking at the system to say, I'm also in risk management unit with Maluma, but we are thinking of using the system for our ethics risk register. And that is something that, yeah, most of the time, like I say, if we do go to the office, it would be once a week or, yeah. But yeah, that is our challenge currently. How do we address that?
Okay, Jonathan, I think you would like to respond to that.
Yes, yeah. I might need some help from Christo or Marco if he's online, because we have set up GPG now for people to access the BarnOwl Web outside, from home and outside of the VPN. I know we were working on that because the offline with risk management's exactly what you said. It's not ideal because it doesn't lock data out. It doesn't lock out the whole business unit. So it's not like audit where you check in things and check out things. It was designed more for voting, where you go with keypads and vote. So no, we do need to get you working on BarnOwl Web. I don't know, Christo, if you've been involved. I'm not sure if Marco is on this call, but maybe you could come in there, please.
Yes, sure. From our side, the latest version of BarnOwl, which is version 12.0.1, we do have the ability to make BarnOwl Web public facing, meaning that you're only required to have an internet connection to open the website. So that is something that we can do and set up for customers. I'm not entirely sure if there are additional costs involved because it is quite a bit of work that needs to be done. And we will, in those scenarios, we also need to switch over to basic authentication, meaning that any user that accesses the site will be allocated a username and password, and they will no longer just use Windows authentication to log in. For BarnOwl Desktop, you really have two options at the moment, or actually three. The one is a VPN connection, which is stable that you can use to connect to BarnOwl. However, we don't officially support that because there are too many variables in terms of your internet service provider. Your VPN throughput can be constrained. So there is a possibility of data corruption if you use BarnOwl directly over VPN. The second option is remote desktop services. You can ask your IT guys to investigate if there's a possibility of provisioning a remote desktop server. That way you will still connect to your VPN, but from there you'll connect to a remote desktop or a published BarnOwl desktop, which is RDS, or remote desktop services. That way, if your connection drops at any point in time, the session will still remain open on the server, and the possibility of data corruption is non-existent in that method. Then thirdly, it is the offline functionality. It will require what we call SQL, Microsoft SQL Server. It will require Microsoft SQL Server to be installed on your PCs, and then you'll synchronize a risk management unit from online to offline. You will go and do your work, and then when you're done and connected to your network again, you can synchronize those changes back to BarnOwl. However, like we said previously, there's no locking of files. So if someone else works on the same risk, objective, controls, etc., or on the same unit, the possibility for data corruption is very high.
Yeah, I think just to come in there again, GPG, we've done a lot of work on being able to access BarnOwl Web, even if you're outside of the domain. So Marco's not on this call, but we'll take it offline, and then there's been quite a bit of testing done by the team to access BarnOwl Web. So I'm sure we'll be able to. You guys will get access to BarnOwl via the web.
Sorry, Jay. Thank you, guys, Jonathan and Crystal. And then in terms of, because there's quite a few pointers that came out of the response, in terms of the cost involved, is it something then that would be carried by the department for you to enhance these features for us to have access to it? And then in terms of the corruption of the data, because that automatically becomes now a risk on its own. If someone can then have access to whatever I've captured, then they can corrupt the data. So the locking part, would you say it would then be visible to say that you almost have like a backup system to be in the office at least once a week or whenever you worked on the system in order for you to protect your data? Yeah.
No,
it sounds a bit risky.
Yeah, I think, Rosina, just to come in there, we don't recommend risk management offline. It gets very complicated because you then got to keep SQL Express that's on your notebook in sync, and it's used mainly for workshops. So the reason we put so much investment into BarnOwl Web or BarnOwl Lite, which with the reason we're changing the name, it's not so light anymore. It's actually BarnOwl Web, is to enable people to access the system online remotely and not necessarily via VPN. So as Christo mentioned, version 12.0.1, which I think is what we've just put in at GPG, is going to enable you to access it, Rosina. But I'm trying to work out who we're working with at GPG. Marco, it's pity Marco's not on the call. I don't know if Viwe, if you can remember who we're working with there on the technical side, but you will have access to the system via BarnOwl Web. I don't know if that answers your question, Rosina.
No, thanks, colleagues. For the GPG colleagues, we are still setting up the system, but the main challenge that we had previously experienced was with the remote accessibility and how to ensure that there isn't, corruptions and all of that stuff with people just being able to access our system willy-nilly. So we are working on that with the account manager, viewers on call. Once all of that setup has been resolved, then we would engage on how then do we reintroduce everybody back into the system. And then from there, we'll be able then to roll out for everyone else to utilize the system. Thanks.
Thanks, Rosina. Thanks.
Thank you, Rosina, and thank you, everybody. Are there any other questions or comments before we end off our session today?
Okay, sorry, are you going to share this recording?
Yes, definitely. So we have recorded it. We will make the recording and the write-up and the PowerPoint presentation available to everybody in a few days' time. that will be sent through to you, and it will be available on the BarnOwl website as well.
Yeah, it'll be a link. I think Cheryl sends out a link via email, and then but it's always on the website. There's a whole customer portal there that you can have a look at. Yeah, good.
Okay, so I don't see. Oh, I see
Maybe
one more.
timeline. Maybe
Yes.
timeline in terms of when can we expect implementation?
Are you referring to? Sorry, go ahead, Jono.
No. I just Cindy. Who you with? Sorry, or who's your account manager? Do you know?
No. I'm at Lesedi, so we currently work with Avu at GPTG. Yeah.
Rosina's got a hand up.
Yeah, so there is a project plan that we're working on. So I didn't want to, because there are other colleagues on the call, we'll engage with the GPG colleagues outside of this. There's a project plan that has been developed. We'll communicate when we are ready to roll out. Thanks, colleagues.
Thank you, Rosina. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me and for your time today. Mpo, I'll just give it to you quickly before we close off our session. I see your hands up again.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Just a quick one. The program that Rosina is talking to, is it going to cover all the municipalities or?
Yes,
just the
ma'am.
clarity on that? Okay.
Everyone in Gauteng province will be addressed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time and for joining us for the session today. I hope that it was helpful and that it's answered some of your questions that you may have had. We will put that information up on the website as soon as possible. And please do chat to your account manager or send through an email to support if you have any questions or if you need any assistance with anything at any point. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and have a wonderful day for the rest of your day as well.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.